So got the other side, keep it pushing. And it does tell you can do anything, you know. Sometimes it's hard for men to show their emotions because they're scared of being judged. I don't want to spoil the book, but he goes through some hard times. Then just go out there and be yourself, you know, try and find yourself, okay, as black men, because I think sometimes we try and hide identity. Just, you know, God's time is the best time, and so.
Henry Christian Jump.
And a new series came out for that one.
Wealthy or to prosper.
So my name is Chaddy, otherwise known as Chadtalkss on TikTok. I create content for, you know, going around my uni, asking questions, what people are wearing, trivia, you know, what people are getting up to. Today, I brought The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stefan Chbosky. It means a lot to me, this book, because this book got me back into reading. I also bought Blessings by Chadtalkss. This book is, you know, it resonates a lot in a way because obviously the writer's from my tribe in Nigeria, and, you know, it's just a great book. Malcolm X, you know, as a politics student, I think it's a very important book to me, and it's an important book to, you know, that the black community is. So the Malcolm X book, it's a very important book in terms of, not only to me, but I think it can resonate to a lot of people, you know. You know, as a young, like, black man going into politics, like, that's what I want to go into, and I'm a student of politics. So this guy, you know, he wasn't a politician, he was more of like I call himself like an academic. And he used like his, you know, academic nature and, you know, his intelligence to go out there and, you know, fight for the rights of African Americans. And I feel like his speeches, especially like the way he goes around in big crowds and speaking, I think is a very important skill to possess. This book, when I read it, it gave me the confidence to be like, okay, I shouldn't limit myself to certain things. Like, this man went out there in a place where, you know, he was a minority and changed it for a large community of people. So this book, you can interpret it in many ways, but the main thing that especially I took from it is the confidence he had to go out there, you know, have these speeches, and how important it is to articulate yourself, you know, correctly as a man. And that's it. You can do that in your certain ways, but I feel like you should have the confidence. And it does tell you can do anything, you know. But it doesn't matter where you come from, but you can do anything. If you have the confidence to go out there and, you know, make change. So making change is a very big thing to take away from this. So the Malcolm X book, it's a very important book in terms of, not only to me, but I think it can resonate to a lot of people, you know. So this book, you can interpret it in many ways, but the main thing that especially I took from it is the confidence he had to go out there, you know, have these speeches, and how important it is to articulate yourself, you know, correctly as a man. And it does tell you can do anything, you know. But it doesn't matter where you come from, but you can do anything if you have the confidence to go out there and, you know, make change. So making change is a very big thing to take away from this. This book is Blessings by Chadtalkss. You know, this person's from my tribe in Nigeria, so I thought, you know, let me give the book a go, and honestly, it's one of my favorite books. It's about a boy in Nigeria, boarding school, trying to find his identity and who he is, you know, what he wants to be. And I say it's a very important book because it's about a homosexual boy, and being homosexual in Nigeria is illegal, so it's tough for him, you know, trying to navigate, you know, how he's gonna fit in the community and his friends and his parents. But I'd say it's an important book to realize, you know, everyone's going through something of their own. And I think me as someone that makes content for people, it helps me a lot because it helps me in the way I speak to people, my social interactions, that you don't know what someone's going through and you want to try and understand more what people are going through. This book as well made me like want to even push more of my content because I don't want to just like, you know, interview my friends. I want to interview everyone. I want to interview people from different backgrounds. And this what made me do this because I said, what if I met someone that, you know, grew up in a rough place or in a place where I guess freedom is almost limited. Just finding his journey and identity, I think is an important thing as black men, because I think sometimes we try and hide identity, whether that's, you know, being forced to be like an engineer, or your mum wants to be a doctor. I think just go out there and be yourself, you know, try and find yourself, okay? Like, it's not, don't limit it to what the norms are of your, you know, your place or your culture. Go and be yourself. If you want to be a content creator, go and be it. If you want to be an author, go and be it. So I'd say this book is very important in terms of finding yourself. So I think the Mandem should pick up this book because it emphasizes the importance of being yourself in no matter what society you're in and the societal norms. So I think a lot of the time, some people, you know, they're hiding in their own show, whether that's, you know, their identity, whether that's what they want to be, whether that's the friends they want to be with. I think it doesn't matter how fast it takes you to find yourself, but the identity part is like, it's a massive part of this book. I think the man should pick up. This book means a lot to me on a personal level because, you know, it's the book that got me back into my love for reading. So during my time in secondary school, I used to love reading, you know, growing up. And then after lockdown, I was stuck on the computers, you know, watching all the films and gaming. And I thought, okay, let me pick up this book. And I picked up during lockdown, honestly. It brought my love back to reading, you know. This book goes, again, about a young boy in a different culture now, America, where he's trying to navigate, secondary school, finding friends, relationships. And I think it's a very important book to pick up as a young man, because that's a lot of, that's part of manhood, finding relationships, finding friends, finding what you want to be. I don't want to spoil the book, but he goes through some hard times, and the hard times, I think, is the most important part of this book, because finding what you are, finding yourself is not going to be easy. It's not going to be, okay, I'm going to go to this school, I'm going to get this girlfriend, I'm going to, graduate from this place. It's not that easy. I think the hardships and troubles, makes a man. I think that's an important thing I took out of this book. And I wouldn't say it's very relatable to me, the things he had to go through, but I would say it's relatable on the note that you don't have to be in a hurry to know what you want to do, or to find yourself, or to get into a relationship. You can take your time, but don't be afraid to get out there. Don't be afraid to try and find your identity. I think people are scared, and people just want to go through the steps, listen to their parents in terms of everything, listen to teachers. But sometimes you need to do a bit of exploring for yourself. And I think the exploration part of this and, the hardships, I think is what makes this book very important to me.
How do you identify with the main character?
So the main character, I'd say for me personally, like, I've been all right when it comes to, making friends, going through school. But I'd say I look at it from a different perspective here. I look at it from a perspective of, like, some of my closest friends, maybe they're going through the same thing. And it's made me almost like open up more and speak to my friends on a deeper level, whether that's relationships or like whether that's, how they're feeling. Sometimes it's hard for men to show their emotions because they're scared of being judged. It's very easy said and done to say, okay, it doesn't matter what people say, it's a very cliche thing. But I'd say if you're going through something, there's probably a likely chance someone else is going through it as well. So don't be scared and be like, oh, it's embarrassing, I'm gonna be judged. Very likely the person sitting next to you in class or the person you walk past in the university campus probably going through the same thing. So open up to your friends. For me personally, I have my own philosophy of always keeping it moving and leave it to God. I've got a very strong relationship with God, I want to say. So there's times where, either rejects from this job or, you struggle, you've not had a great grade, or there's some things sometimes you can't control. You can improve on, but you can't always control the moment. Just keep it moving, keep it flowing, and then talk to God, leave it to God, and hopefully what you want, comes. And just, God's time is the best time. And so don't be ashamed. I say don't be ashamed to talk about books. I think a lot of the time, especially as young males, we are ashamed to talk about books. We think it's, it's not cool. Listen, I think reading's cool. I think reading's cool because a lot of people write, and you can get a lot of people's, personal views and just get a lot of knowledge from reading. So just don't be ashamed to read. Keep reading, keep it moving, and leave it to God. So I've been Chad, you've been watching What's the Mandem Reading. You can catch me on Chadtalkss. I will be posting content, every week, every day when I'm at uni. And yeah, guys, just keep it moving. Like Bob would say, keep it pushing. And yeah, that's it.